Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is May 17th, 2025. I'm Conalisa Mahu with Lighthouse News and Notes, and today I am with Donna D'Angelo in the Institute of Christ Consciousness. We are exploring human and divine connections, and today Donna's topic is exploring the effects of planetary divine justice. Now, if you have a Christian heritage, you might be looking forward to the day of judgment, so to speak. That's a very Christian term, and in many other religious denominations and faiths have this idea of what Judgment Day might look like. It might not be exactly what you think, but we are going to explore what that really looks like on the planet today with Donna. So, if you would like to reach out to Donna, it's Institute of Christ Consciousness, Donna at Institute of Christ Consciousness. And we welcome our Zoom audience that is here with us today and with Donna. Thank you for being here. And so, Donna, this is a very, very interesting topic, and I cannot wait to hear it. I know you've given me some website pieces that we're going to show and share with the audience later, pieces from your website, things that you have written. So tell us, what is this planetary divine justice that you're talking about?
Thank you, Kona, and hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. Over the course of the last few months, we've been presenting the concept of humans communicating with celestial personalities. And by celestial personalities, I am not referring to our off-planet corporeal brothers and sisters who are very much cheering us on in our planetary rehabilitation efforts. I'm more referring to the spiritual level, where there are innumerable spirit and divine personalities who are cleaning up the thought forms, the belief systems within our planetary system of consciousness that are tied to the ways of war, conflict, poverty, and illness, and many other social injustices. So what is happening on the planet is certainly a topic of curiosity for many people, especially if they do not have a spiritual grounding in a higher plan now developing on the planet to foster our spiritual, our moral, and our social evolution. So today I wanted to present some of the effects that I'm seeing occur on the planet as we go through a period of what I call divine justice, to bring our planet back into the family of light and life, of which we are a part of a great universe that is populated with many planets. Some are spiritual planets, some are material worlds, but we have been quarantined from our universe family for many thousands of years. And now we are in a process to return us back into the place, our rightful place in that universe home. So there are a wide variety of activities that are now underway on the planet to help us remember who we are and to build our spiritual foundation internally so that we can cooperate with the plans that are underway. So just to go into a little bit of background, especially for those of you who may not be aware of the fact that we have been a world that has deviated from the divine plans of evolution. There is a link in the chat, and it's called, it's the fourth one down here, the Planetary Rebellion. That will give you a little bit of context of what happened here. Now, we are in the phase of planetary correction, and this is the biggest story on the planet, and many people are feeling the effects of what is underway, but they do not understand what is really happening. And so in this discussion, I just want to outline some of the effects that people are experiencing and to go into more of a discussion with all of you to see what you are noticing in your world, your realm, of these changes that are underway. So to give you some context, the rebellion of this world to deviate from the divine plans of evolution occurred 200,000 years ago. And we were taken off the divine plan of evolution by spiritual beings who did not like the divine plan. They wanted to develop a different plan of evolution. And when they did that, they pretty much quarantine themselves from the rest of the greater universe context in which we all live to develop their own plan. And when a spiritual being takes a evolutionary world such as ours off the planetary trajectory toward a higher spiritual culture where we're actually like a planet that's where life is conducted like at a heavenly realm, what happens is the spiritual leaders, if you will, of our world devised a scheme that interfered with our spiritual development because they wanted to retain control of our planet and 36 other planets that they were responsible for shepherding to a higher planetary culture. And they did this through very coercive, authoritative means, where their agenda was the only one that humans could participate in. And this is completely antithetical to the fact that our Creator has given us free will to choose how we are going to live our lives. And this rebellion agenda was basically telling us the opposite. You have no free will. You are going to follow our rules and you are going to do as we say. Now, I'm very much simplifying this. There's a lot more to it, but for the purposes of this webcast, I want to talk about what that did within human consciousness. It separated us from the natural relationship that we have with our Creator through the spirit of the indwelling essence of God within us. It created a wide variety of interference. And these spiritual rebels actually knew how human consciousness functions. So they did their best to put in all types of coding, coercive, authoritative language that would keep us beholden to their system, which was all based on war and conflict and keeping humans enslaved to their agenda, because these spiritual beings wanted to have complete control over their sector of the universe and not participate in the grand unfolding of the divine, the cosmic divine plan of evolution. So what we're seeing in humans now and within us is that there has been what you might say a draining of this rebellion mindset that is being conducted to untether our human consciousness from a planetary mindset that has been so destructive and so enslaving of the human spirit and human spiritual and creative potential. And so what is happening now is that blocking of human consciousness from a system of thinking on the planet, like groupthink, where people are still mired in fear and unworthiness, and they don't feel secure in life materially or emotionally. There are tethers loosening in our minds and in our memory systems to these false beliefs, which are based on this rebellion consciousness, which is antithetical to God and antithetical to life. Now, I have written about this on several of the pages on the website, and there are the links here. Human healing, human consciousness, healing planetary consciousness with spiritual and celestial assistance. But what is happening within human mind right now is in this untethering, People have been attached to a false reality. Sometimes people call this the matrix or the planetary illusion. It's all the same thing. And now that people are being untethered, what that is doing is making people very nervous, emotionally, mentally confused, and there are a lot of physical debility that comes with that because there's so much stress in people and letting this untethering happen that even though people have been, what you might say, inculcated into a false belief system, it's familiar and it's comfortable. And when it starts to break up within the human system of consciousness, when it starts to show that it is false and it's pitting your mind against what you have thought for many years, as contrasted with higher information, it is causing a lot of confusion. And that is what we're seeing now. People are very confused because they feel something is wrong, but they don't know what the solution is. And the solution is a spiritual solution. And so I'm just going to stop here and see if there are any comments or questions, because this is a very big thing for people to understand, that this untethering of groupthink, of this rebellion mindset, is making people feel so insecure that they are lashing out in many unhealthy ways because they don't know where to find their security. And the security can only come from developing a spiritual relationship with those spiritual connections that you have within you, the indwelling spirit of God that adjusts our thinking to be more God conscious, and then the universe mother, who is our, what you might call our womb of consciousness in which we all live, and she provides safety and security, and the divine Father, who validates our right to be who we are so that we can proceed on our soul path. So I'm just going to pause here and see if there's any questions before we move forward into the next part.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Donna, for that introduction. I mean, you've given us a bigger picture than the standard idea of the fall. There's a whole lot more to the scenario that we are encountering than a simple fall, a simple apple on a tree, you know, an Adam and Eve story. It's much more complex than most of the planet has ever known. And it's great to know that what we're seeing on the planet, one, is because of activity that is not necessarily related to just humanity. I mean, certainly we've used our free will to make poor choices, but we've also had an outside influence that has been impacting us for many thousands of years to make those poor decisions. So, what I hear you saying is that this influence is deeply ingrained into humanity. So, there's people in power that have this influence that is causing them to also create the chaos around us. And if those people don't shed that, then what happens? Can you tell us a little bit about that? If they stay locked into this mindset that's creating chaos on the planet?
Yes, and this is the good news, that the activities of divine justice are not what we humans would consider as justice, you know, going before a judge or a jury and having your peers decide on your fate. Divine justice is being administered by a divine personality. Some people call him Manjaranson. And what he is doing is bringing in a quality of spiritual energy that is so loving and merciful and fully comprehending the way in which human mind has been poisoned by this rebellion agenda. And so as the energies of divine justice start to blend into our thinking and our consciousness, it's starting to help people open up to the idea that, oh, something is wrong. Life doesn't have to be this hard. what can I do to help myself open up to this bigger reality? Now, people may not think of it as divine justice, but what this divine justice energy is doing in human consciousness, it's breaking those bonds or chains or yokes that we have to false belief systems. And it's done in a very gentle way. The divine justice that is underway on the planet is not going to be done in a single swoop by a judge pounding the gavel and saying, okay, you're being adjudicated. This is an opportunity for individuals to perceive from their own human free will to make a choice whether or not they want to stay tethered to this very insidious rebellion mindset, which is all about separation, keeping people in states of unworthiness and fear, which creates all kinds of emotional and mental chaos in an individual, or to open up to what is really happening on the planet and start developing your spiritual potential. And that spiritual potential is the solution to all of our social problems, but they are not going to be conducted in a single generation. We are in a generational, very large change that's going to take many generations to complete. But in terms of the divine justice, the spiritual authorities of our planet, the correct ones, the divine ones, have a plan in place to help human mind become untethered from all of these false beliefs. And what is being imparted during these activities of divine justice is more truth, to feed human mind with an awareness of life is good, God is trustworthy, you have a higher self, and you have the right to develop your soul so that you can live your highest and best self while you are here on the planet. The big untethering that's happening now is also occurring incrementally. It's like you have a spirit within you from the Creator that knows everything. It's completely aware of all of the things that have been happening in your life and are trying to help your thinking change and your feelings to becoming more positive, loving, compassionate, peaceful, and aware that life is such a much bigger picture than what we've conceived of this on this planet. The rebellion did quarantine us from the rest of the world. But now in this divine justice coming in, it is like the big untethering process. And so it is safe to open up to divine justice. It is totally trustworthy to put your faith in these divine beings. And this is very difficult for we humans because we have been not very well informed of the spiritual administration of our planet and those divine beings who are carefully helping us make these changes at the human end to be more loving and peaceful and kind and compassionate with others. So when the divine justice is activated on the planet and it starts the untethering process, it is helping people awaken. And this is where we are right now. Many people are awakening. They're becoming more aware of what's happened on the planet. And it's loosening the influence of those planetary controllers who have been loyal to the rebellion agenda, which really foments war and illness and poverty in the general population. It is a means of control. So as the divine justice works into human mind and it starts to untether us and leads us into this greater awareness that something is wrong, it gives the indwelling spirit an opportunity to shed more truth light into the what you might call attachments that you've had to erroneous beliefs and concepts about yourself to help you feel more loved, to help you feel more grounded in a higher energy of peace. and a willingness to open up to your spiritual potential. This is happening normally and gracefully, is being orchestrated by loving spirit beings who care about you and who want you to move out of that negative trajectory of thinking, which is how the mindset of the planet has been directed, into the positive direction of spirit consciousness. So I'll just stop here and see if there's any questions or any comments right now.
Donna, that's a lot of information. And it sounds like, we have so much help from these spiritual beings. A lot of folks want to know, well, why don't they just fix things? Why does it have to be a change with us? Can you talk a little bit about the significance of free will and why things have to happen at the human level? Why we have to go through this process of change rather than just have the celestials come in and go, ping, 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 you're fixed, you're healthy, you're well, and all of that? Because that's what people are looking for many times.
And that is part of the rebellion mindset that says,
Mm.
if you trust in authority, we will fix things for you. And now
Mhm.
that people are becoming aware that the authoritarian power structure on the planet has not been constructed for your best interest. It's been constructed for those in power who are loyal to the rebellion agenda to keep them in power. And it is a kind of enslavement. So when you start to break away from this mindset, it is going to shake a person's inner reality. Like I said earlier, because we have been so, whoops, there we go,
Sorry
tethered
about
to
that.
a rebellion mindset collectively. When people start opening up to this, it's very difficult for people to appreciate and accept that this planetary system that we've been living in is actually designed for your detriment. That is a heavy pill to swallow, especially when you've been told, oh, trust science or trust religious authorities. There's an orthodoxy tied to the rebellion that is completely antithetical to how we should live and grow as spiritual beings. So when people start to confront this, it's very, very confusing for a while because it's complete. It's like a 180-degree turn in your thinking. And it's also very difficult for people to appreciate and apprehend that those people that you've placed your trust in have actually betrayed you. And that's what the rebellion was at its core. It was a betrayal of the divine plans of evolution, and that betrayal energy has infiltrated our minds and our bodies. And now, as we're in this untethering process of divine justice, it's making people feel very uncomfortable. But that's okay because it's trying to shake you free from those influences. And here is the way we should be looking at reality. We are living on a material world, but in God's creation, there are many worlds. And because our creator is not in a physical body like we have, God has given us a spirit to cooperate with us, or I should say, for us to cooperate with, I kind of had it backwards, for us to cooperate with so that we can allow the presence of God within us to co-create together the positive social institutions we need on the planet that supports all life in a healthy and positive manner, to get back to the natural divine processes of life that have been given to this world for humans to co-create in. Most people don't think like that I have the power of God within me to create a beautiful life for myself and for my human brothers and sisters and all life here. Most people don't have that mindset, but it is growing. And this is where we start coming together as a social culture to recognize that we are all participating in this great co-creation event with our own indwelling spirits and souls. And so we are the ones who are responsible for making the changes. Yes, God could wave a magic wand and everything would be perfect. But we are not designed to be perfect. We are designed to perfect who we are over a long evolutionary continuum. And there's a joy in that. And there's a sense of wonder when we open up to learning new information, to explore the enormity, the majesty of all life, just like that feeling we had when we were children, before the world shut us down by all of its negativity. Children have that sense of awe and wonderment and curiosity about life. And this is what our Creator wants us to experience with that joy of creation, that we actually get as humans to grow and become more aware of who we are as spiritual beings, and our soul and our creative potential. So the changes on the planet are not going to be done by the celestials. They are going to give us the information. They are feeding our minds with the higher insights we need to apprehend to make these social changes. They are coordinating group efforts to bring people together who are sharing these higher ideals of how to create a heavenly social culture on our planet. But we're boots on the ground. We're the ones who have to do it. So if you have that mindset, well, God, why don't you do it all yourself? Then that would it would not give us the joy of co-creation. And when you remember things that you've done that were effortful and you succeeded, doesn't that fill you with a feeling of pride and happiness and joy and self-satisfaction? And that is what we're doing. We are taking our planet back so that we can eventually all create together in understanding that we are doing this with our Creator's presence within us, giving us the momentum, the motivation, the inspiration so that we can make these changes and reach those levels of self-awareness and self-actualization in God.
Sounds like a tremendous ball of learning. We're like on a learning planet. This is a learning opportunity to co-create and work together with each other and with our celestials rather than just being spoon-fed whatever comes our way. And I agree with you, Donna. What a joy to experience these things. So I appreciate that perspective. Audience members, do you have any questions for Donna right now? Anything come to mind? John or any of our folks that are not? All right. So, Donna, continue on.
Well, what I want to invite our audience is to share any of the insights that they're seeing as we go through this time. You know, what are you seeing in your community or around you? So we can just kind of expand on the concerns that a lot of people have about this.
So, are you asking them about the chaos and confusion that they might be seeing in their community, or are you talking about maybe people taking on this new spiritual practices to address those, or either
Um,
one?
yeah, both really. You know, whatever you wish to share. I think it's very helpful for other people to hear the perspective of others because I'm just one individual who has opened up to this higher perspective and committed my life to ending the rebellion mindset on the planet. So I'm just very curious to hear how others are faring and what they're seeing in their own communities or around them in the world.
Certainly, and I could go on and be the only one talking, but John and John, you have your opportunity to share as well. I know that I am using my free will to follow and make some changes, have been for a long time in my life, and then to contribute to community by taking, what I'm learning into the lives of other people. John Otranto, you've unmuted yourself. Oh, please go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, just a little bit louder, maybe.
All right. Um,
There you go.
I'm in the Munich American Peace Committee here in Munich. And I noticed that our members are even more interested in doing what they can to help bring about peace. I also see that there are more people getting involved in speaking truth to power, dealing with issues, for example, with the Palestinian situation, what's going on in Gaza. There are more people who are active in trying to change the perception of what's going on in Gaza, realizing that there's a genocide taking place. And the same thing applies to what's happening in Ukraine. So I see more people getting involved in peace issues. And I think that's a move in the right direction. That's I spend a lot of time researching these matters, and so does my wife too. We're both very much involved in people changing their perspective, changing their consciousness, and we can see it happening. We meet with other people who also see it happening. Although it's quite difficult here in Germany because the people, most of the people are fundamentally conservative. And as you know, the conservative people are the slowest to change.
But at least
So-
you're seeing some change, John, and some change. And you said a key word, change in consciousness. People are waking up. Their consciousness is being elevated. Thank you for that. We also have Sherry Elizabeth has her hand up. Sherry Elizabeth, you can unmute yourself, please.
Hi, thank you. Along with what Donna's saying, the change of consciousness and I had been in a 5-year battle with some of the dark spiritual mind, greedy, in control people, and I just kept praying. And one night when I was on the call with Donna, I made the prayer and told her what was happening, and she said she saw a reconciliation. And then a few more months went on, and I was able to prevail through the spirit, and the battle has been finished. And I just give the glory to the spiritual parents and to all who whispered in prayer. But the battle was won, and so I agree with what everything, the justice is happening. It might not seem like what Donna said right now, but it is going on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, it's important to know. Donna, you have a comment?
Well, I want to comment on both what John and Sherry Elizabeth said, because this is some of the work that we're doing at the Institute of Christ Consciousness to support the untethering process of individuals. So you might consider that belief systems are encoded with language, certain concepts that keep us attached to certain ways of thinking, feeling, and then behaving. And now that more people are responding to the Great Awakening and the activities of divine justice, the planet is now being fed with what you might call spiritual language that has divine meaning and value. And even though we may use English words in our meditation, what we're actually intentionally invoking is the divine meaning and value of certain words. For example, peace. When you focus on peace, you are not just focusing it on peace for yourself or for the planet. You're invoking a divine quality of peace that has a tendency to take down all that emotional stress in an individual. There's a very grounded feeling of safety and security when you get into that level of peace. And the word reconciliation, again, these words have divine meaning and value. And when you focus on them, you are actually imparting the spiritual energy in that word to do its work in human consciousness, to feed the human mind with a higher concept. The spirit within knows what that concept means and is trying to inlay that truth light onto what you may have considered as a memory experience, something that has happened in your life in the past, to shed more light on that so that the mind can untether. And this is a very deep, intricate, complex process of how spirit moves into human mind and memory to light over the erroneous information and add more truth content, and also a feeling of love and peace, so that within yourself, you feel like you can let go of this old belief, and then the new belief starts to come in, or the resolution of a problem. So when you bump your intentions up to the spiritual level and talk to your helpers, your angels, to our divine universe, mother and father, who have the plan of rehabilitation and are feeding human mind with it. When you bump it up to that level, you are now building a bridge of spiritual energy and information into the planet that is going to elevate human mind out of the muck and mire of rebellion and put you on a path of growing your own spiritual potential and living more from your true soul purpose. So these are some of the activities and the effects of the divine justice on our planet. But there is a lot more to do, so we have to keep up the spiritual pressure. But one of the things I'm seeing in spiritual meditations, like we do on the twice monthly planetary transformation call, is that these light fibers are coming in with information, and they are starting to blend into the erroneous beliefs that we've had and starting to elevate them. It's like a tuning fork. I've talked about this before. You're vibrating at a very high spiritual level, and the lower frequencies are starting to calibrate and join, so that negative energy and the erroneous belief is diminishing, and you feel this upsurge, this upliftment. So the activities of divine justice will continue for a while, and to bring people back into their higher nature. Now, before we conclude and go into a brief meditation, I just want to talk about those individuals who are still in power, who are still beholden to the rebellion mindset, and what is going to happen with them. Now, it is up to humanity to forgive. Forgiveness is a key element of how we extricate and liberate ourselves from this rebellion mindset. It is not our responsibility to fix any other individual. It is up to us to become the best version of ourselves and ask for spiritual help to outwork all of our human frailties and foibles and the trauma that we've had in our minds and bodies. But what will happen to these individuals? You have to keep in mind that God loves all of the erring children on this world and is wanting to give people an opportunity to be redeemed, even the most recalcitrant. And these recalcitrant people are also, and it's very hard for people to understand this, they are victims of this mindset. They are the predators. And that is a victim, it is a coercive, erroneous way of thinking about who you are, because God loves everyone equally. Everyone has the right to develop their own soul and their soul path. But these people have been so inculcated into the rebellion mindset that they cannot see, they cannot perceive the other options. So the more the average person untethers themselves from this rebellion mindset, it's diminishing the breadth of erroneous information on the planet. And it's giving these individuals a chance to see a different perspective for their redemption. Because when they are redeemed and they see the error of their ways, they can be a very potent and vital force for good. And this is where we are right now in terms of the divine justice. The untethering of this rebellion mindset is making these people feel very uncomfortable because their base of stability is now being rocked to their core. And they're losing power. And they know that they have only a limited amount of time, but they are still going to retain power and do some very damaging things. I had a vision from Christ Michael in 2005, where he showed me who these participants were in this Lucifer rebellion agenda from the human perspective. And I've said this before many times, some of you may have heard this before. Basically, they were giving Michael the finger and saying, if we're going down, we're taking the planet with us. And they wanted to do as much destruction as possible. And they have done tremendous, horrific things on this planet. But now this is ending. And the more we open up to this divine justice, then the more the truth mind on the planet starts to operate. And it helps people let go of these erroneous beliefs. And then the people who are tied to this erroneous belief, totally bought into it 100%, their tether is now loosening and they are insecure because they feel that if they let go of what they have believed in and put their faith in or their power in, that they will die. And part of that is true. If they don't repent and receive redemption, they will no longer be able to stay on the planet because the planet's vibratory rate is increasing, and it's having a very profound effect on the physical body as well. And so it's like we're being encouraged to let go of all of this negativity, the negativity in our thinking, in our feeling, and the negativity that breeds disease and illness and even leads to cell destruction and death. So the more we focus on our spirituality and contribute to the activities of divine justice in whatever way we're being guided, all of these tethers are loosening, the truth mind is building, and the effects on the planet are to bring more people into the positive constructs of wanting to cooperate and build together a higher planetary social structure. And those are some of the activities we're doing at the ICC on the twice monthly planetary transformation call and the weekly 8 p.m. Eastern time prayer call on Wednesdays. We are actually working with the celestial personalities and building these light circuits going down deep, deep, deep into the human memory system to untether human mind so that our human minds elevate up to higher spiritual consciousness. So I guess I'll just stop there. I've got a number of links up on the chat to read more about all of the different dynamics. Are there any other comments or questions? And we have time for a little bit of a brief meditation.
I think the big thing that you've talked about in other of your webcasts, Donna, is that all of this is possible because of the adjudication of the celestials that were responsible for this rebellion. Their power has been removed from the planet. So the celestials that are here with us now are bringing about the changes that you're talking about. But again, that's possible because Satan has been removed, Lucifer has been removed, and any number of subcategories of the rebellion, angelicals, they've been removed. They've been adjudicated. And so we're in a completely different phase of the planet. And so now we have the opportunity to recalibrate, as you're talking about, and receive all of this goodness from our celestial parents and everyone working with First Source and Center to bring about this change on the planet. And that's good. That's great news.
It's very good news. And people need to remember that humans did not create the rebellion. but we are given the responsibility of cleaning it up with this incredible level of divine help. And that there are spiritual persons that are helping us. We have a divine mother and father. The divine mother and father are the pattern personalities for our human male-female relationships. And anything that you didn't get from your human mother or father, any love or validation or encouragement, you can get from your spirit parents. But it does require a modicum of faith to open up that inner door and say, hey, I don't know you. Show me who you are. We all need support. We cannot do this alone, but we are being encouraged to rise to the opportunity of a great challenge. And from a celestial or cosmic perspective, what is happening on this planet is unprecedented in the cosmos. We are being given an opportunity to turn a world around that was so full of darkness and evil, and to make it into a sphere of light and love and beauty and truth and goodness. And we're all doing it together. And it's time for all of us to take up that helm and go within and develop our spiritual relationships that we've talked about here at the ICC for many years. And this is a resource for you to open up to this greater reality. The spiritual realm is teeming with love and support for us. But if you just stay in that material mind and look at the external reality as all there is, you're going to miss out on the big event, because the big event is happening within us. And the repercussions then play out in the external world, not the other way around. So I want to
Thank
end
you
on
so
that.
much for that. Thank you so much for that. It gives me great joy to one, hear this continuously through your ministry, to participate in the conversation, and then to turn around and be in a place to share this information to others. And so for our audience, I hope that this has been a blessing to you and new information or reiterated information to what you've received. I did post in the chat all of the links that we looked at on Donna's website. They are in her blog. If you want to look again to where these are in the overall big picture, let me just show you quickly. These are within her paths to spiritual growth, path of spiritual growth. She has awakening to the path, growing on the path, living the path. And so you'll find blogs very similar to this and the ones that we shared with you today on this page to help you with this path of spiritual growth. So, Donna, thank you so much for sharing this invaluable information with us to help ourselves grow spiritually, to help our sphere of influence and others on the planet. Now, I know you do want to take us into a brief meditation. Does anyone in our audience have any other comments or questions for Donna before we go into meditation? Not at the moment? Okay, perfect. So, Donna, thank you. We'll give you the floor to take us into this wonderful meditation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kona. So just close your eyes and focus in your heart. And see the words divine justice just settling into your heart center. This is a living spiritual energy. And while you may not fully intellectually understand all of its meaning and what it has for you, stay in a place of curiosity and faith and just allow these two words to communicate into your energy system, into your mind, into your thoughts, into your feelings. There's a safety in this. There's a security. There are safe boundaries, if you will, to hold your mind into a place where you are being elevated into a higher spiritual perspective. So let's just sit with this for a few minutes and let the energies of divine justice circulate and communicate into you. And if there's anything that you need to be untethered from, ask for this divine justice to move into that area, to help you release what no longer serves your highest good. And then, if you wish, ask for that divine personality who is bringing about this divine justice on the planet. He is the personification of this, and you have every right to come into a relationship with him. Just let that intention be held in your mind and heart and receive. And then invite your spirit to shine any new information into your mind that you would find helpful for your spiritual growth, to help you make sense of what is occurring on this planet that may still be causing you some confusion or concern. And then project the divine justice energy from your heart and see the world before you in your mind's eye. And the world is just being held in this very large, beautiful, divine energy of divine justice. And just feel the need for the planet to just absorb this divine justice energy like a sponge and let what its true meaning and value is to be further conducted all through the circuits of planetary mind, even down into the deep memory, even into the body. And when you do your meditations on a regular basis, just take a few moments to see the world held in divine justice. What this does is invite our celestial helpers to weave in those light circuits deeper into the planetary mind system, or what you might call the system of consciousness, to change the quality of how humans think and feel and act, and to help us be fed with higher information, truthful information that is liberating and purifying and brings us out of the past and brings us into the motivation to construct a higher spiritual social order. We ask for the helpers to anchor these circuits of divine justice more deeply into areas where the need is still very relevant and present, and help our erring brothers and sisters see the truth. Forgive them, ask for their divine inner guides to bring them out of their error so that they have more opportunity to seek repentance and redemption for what they've done on this world. They deserve a second chance, and through redemption, that is possible. The planet is moving forward in its trajectory to a higher culture where one day it will be as if the rebellion never occurred and humans are living what you might call a heavenly way of life. We are on that path. And it is like people like yourselves who are making the difference. So let the divine justice continue to minister in you, and build more light and peace and goodness in you. You may be a living representative of the planetary correction that this world needs. Each one of us has something very valuable to contribute, and your spirit will help you see what that potential is and encourage you to cooperate with the divine plans of your own soul's growth. The other element of divine justice is to encourage people to become more empowered in their own ability with spirit to be about the business of planetary healing and reclamation. All efforts are necessary and welcome. The more we center ourselves in this as a priority for our lives, the more spiritual assistance we will receive and make us more effective in our sacred work. I thank you for joining me in this presentation and experience of meditation today. Take a few minutes to come back into the room you're in. And may you continue to grow in the divine grace and beauty of your soul and add more light into the world to help our brothers and sisters to open to their own divine justice and receive the healing they need. Thank you so much. And we now conclude.
Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you to our Zoom audience today. Those of you that are on screen and off screen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating in not just the conversation, but the meditation. And I just pray that you would take this meditation forward into your lives this week and into your circle of influence, and join Donna on the call tomorrow if you can. The
Oh,
call
no,
for
not
the not
no,
tomorrow, planetary transformation. No, that's right. It's next week. We're
it's
on
the second.
opposite weeks. Right. So, and that schedule is on the website. I hope you also take some time to check out her different blog articles. It's a wealth of information on your website, Donna. We appreciate that so much. Any final words before we close out today?
Yes, and I do want to inform you all that this is the end of this webcast for a period of time. I'm taking a hiatus for the summer. I'll be doing some expanded writing on some of the new findings about how the system of consciousness is now being corrected, information that is coming in within the last year or so that I have not really articulated in any of my updated writings. So I'm going to be doing that over the summer. And then we'll resume with the webcast. I think we might have a different format though, and that'll be beginning on the second Saturday in September. But I'll keep everybody posted. I just wanted to let you know that I want to take a break so I can do this intense writing over the next few months.
Well, we're so glad that you're getting all of that information and sharing it with us so that we can grow with you in the process. So thank you for that. All right,
Right.
folks, we are closing out today. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Zoom audience, for joining in. And for those of you tuning in now and later, again, we've been with Donna D'Angelo with the Institute of Christ Consciousness. Please check out her website. We also want to give a very big thank you to all of the donors that make her ministry possible, have made it her ministry possible for decades. You can also make donations on the website. So this webcast and the other work that she does continues on. You are contributing to that process, and we greatly appreciate that. So thank you again, and we will see you in September. Have a great summer.
God bless everybody.